What's up, you guys? Is it? Yeah, it's recording. Hey, everyone. Ready to go over Chapter 4, Mental Chemistry by Charles F. Haanel. Now I'm listening to it's called Beta Waves. It says, study smarter, not harder, with beta waves. Let's see. The range of frequencies used in this program begin at 14 Hz and peak at 25 Hz, with several dips throughout to keep your mind supple as well as sharp. These are both binaural beats and isochronic tones in this program. Study smarter, not harder. It's amazing how they have it like that, because if everything is vibrations, and if they could create those specific vibrations to keep your brain working at a certain level, how are we not? How could we not have the power to create anything we want? If we could make something like that, just from a sound that helps us, that puts us into that state of absorption. Chapter 4, Attraction. Mental chemistry is a power which is sweeping through eternity, a living stream of relative action in which the basic principle is ever active. It embraces the past and carries it forward into the ever-widening future of movement where relative action, cause and effect go hand in hand, where law dovetails into law, and where all laws are the ever-willing handmaids of this great creative force. This power stretches beyond the utmost planets, beyond a beginning, beyond an ending, and on into an beginningless and endless eternity. It causes the things we see to take form and shape. It brings the fruit from the he blossoms and the sweetness to the honey. It measures the sweep of the countless orbs. It lurks in the sparkle and the diamond, and in the amethyst and in the grape. It works in the seen and in the unseen, and it permeates the all. It is the source of perfect justice, perfect unity, perfect harmony, and perfect truth, while its constant activity brings perfect balance, perfect growth, and perfect understanding. Perfect justice, because it renders equal retribution. Perfect unity, because it has oneness of purpose. Perfect harmony, because in it all laws blend. Perfect truth, because it is the one great truth of all existence. Perfect balance, because it measures unerringly. Perfect growth, because it is a natural growth. Perfect understanding, because it solves every problem of life. The reality of this law lies in its activity, for only through action and constant change can this law ever come to be, and only through inaction can it cease to be. But as there is no inaction, there can be no cessation. The one purpose of this law is unchangeable. In the silence of darkness, in the glory of light, in the turmoil of action, and in the pain of reaction, it moves ever forward toward the fulfillment of its one great purpose, perfect harmony. We see and feel its urge in the myriads of plant forms on hill and in the dale, as they push forth from the same darkness into one light, and though bathed by the same waters and breathe upon the same air, yet all varieties maintain their own individuality. That is, the rose is always a rose and differs from the violet, which is always a violet. The acorn gives to the world the oak, and never a willow or any other variety of tree. And though all send out roots into the same soil, blossom in the same sunshine, yet some are frail, some are strong, some are bitter, and some are sweet, While others are repulsive, some are beautiful. Thus all varieties draw to themselves Some are beautiful, thus all varieties draw to themselves through their own roots and from the same elements, that which differentiates them from each other. And this great law of life, this constant urge, this hidden force in the plant, causing it to manifest, to grow, and to attain, is this law of attraction bearing forward in silent majesty, bring all fruition, dictating nothing, yet making each unit of growth true to its individual nature. In the mineral world, it is the cohesion of the rock, sand, and clay. It is the strength in the granite, the beauty in the marble, the sparkle in the sapphire, and the blood in the ruby. Thus do we find it working in the things we see, but its unseen power, as it works in the mind of man, is greater. This law of attraction is neither good nor evil, neither moral nor immoral. It is a natural law, and always flows in conjunction with the desires of the individual. We each choose our own lines of growth, and there are as many lines of growth as there are individuals. And although no two of us are exactly alike, yet many of us move along similar lines. These lines of growth are made up of past, present, and future desires, manifesting in the ever-forming present, which they establish the central line of our being along which we advance. The nature of these desires has no power to check the action of this, for its function is to bring to maturity the bitter as well as the sweet. An illustration of the naturality and action of this law is found in the grafting of an apple tree bud into an Osage orange tree, where we find in due time edible and unedible fruits growing together on the same tree, that is, wholesome and unwholesome fruits nourished and brought to maturity by the same sap. In applying this illustration to ourselves, we find that the apples and oranges represent our different desires, while the sap represents this law of growth, and just the sap brings to maturity the different kinds of fruits. Just so will this law bring to fruitfulness our different kinds of desires, and whether they be wholesome or unwholesome, it matters not to the law, for its place in life is to bring to our minds a conscious realization of the results that follow all desires we hold, as well as of their nature, their effect, and their purpose. In man's division of the law, we come into contact with a larger activity, one that is utterly unknown to the primitive mind, which leads to a conscious awakening of a newer power in a larger field of action. In other words, a larger truth, a greater understanding, and a deeper insight. We are touching a greater reality, for let us understand that reality lies in activity and not outside of us, not outside of it, not outside of ourselves. To exist is to be alive to the action of the laws about us. The hidden urge in the plant is its reality, and not the outer form we see. The hidden urge in the plant is its reality, and not the outer form we see. There is a world within, a world of thoughts, moods, and feelings. It is this world that creates, for all things without is a manifestation of that what is happening within. This is the secret. This is what they've been hiding from us. You are the creator. True knowledge comes through us through our own activities. Borrowed knowledge through the activities of others. Both together evolves our intellects, and slowly we're forming a unique self, an individualizing unit. As we move out into the power of our growing intellects, into an ever-moving consciousness, we are learning to seek for the wherefore and why of things, and in this search we think and imagine that we are original, when in fact we are only students of established beliefs, notions, and facts gathered throughout generations of tribal and national life. We live in a state of fear and uncertainty until we find and make use of the unvarying uniformity running through all laws. This is a central truth that we must know and use before we can become masters of self or masters of conditions. The law of growth ripens collectively, for its one function is to act upon that which we give it to act upon. As the nature of cause governs the effect, so does thought proceed and predetermine action. Each one must use this law knowingly, consciously, otherwise we use it blindly. Use it we must. In our growth, consciously or unconsciously, use it we must. Learn with me. Together, me and you, we could change the world. Learning what no one is learning. Doing what no one is doing. Being who no one is being. We are the future. In our growth from primitive man to conscious man, there are three seeming divisions or sections. First, our growth through the savage or unconscious state. Second, our growth through the intellectual and conscious growing state. And third, our growth into the conscious recognition of our conscious state. We all know that the bulb must first send out roots before it can send out shoots, and it must send out shoots before it can come to blossom in the sunlight. It is just so with us, like the plant. We must first send out our shoots. Our roots are like thoughts. Our roots are our thoughts. Before we can evolve from our primitive or animal bulb-like state into the intellectual and conscious growing state, we must plant the seed. Because one voice is enough to make sleeping giants wake up. Just plant the seed and keep growing it, because it's nerds like me and you. We are the future. Next, we, like the plant, must send forth shoots before we can evolve from a purely intellectual state of conscious growing into a conscious state of conscious knowing. Otherwise, we would always remain only creatures of the law and never masters of the law. We must send forth shoots before we can evolve. Plant your seeds. Plant your seeds. Say to yourself, I am. Because you are. What is the one thing that all men, all women, all living creatures have in common? And that is that they are aware of being. They may not know what they are. They may not know where they are. They may not know who they are. But you do know that you are. This self-knowing thing that you are. This intelligence, this energy, this cosmic consciousness. Okay, where was I? In applying this illustration to ourselves, we find that the apples and oranges represent our different desires, while the sap represents this law of growth. And just the sap brings to maturity the different kinds of fruits, just so would this law bring to fruitfulness our different kinds of desires. Where did I leave off? Okay. I'm sorry, I found us. Otherwise we would always remain only creatures of the law and never masters of the law. Lastly, we, like the plant, must individualize, must come to full blossom. In other words, must give forth the radiating beauty. Talk about giving forth radiating beauty, and I'm over here. I just ate. I'm sorry, you guys. Must give forth the radiating beauty of a perfected life of law set into activity by ourselves. It is through this consciousness that we begin to master laws and to master